Documentation, is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, call the witness, please.
Your Honor, at this time, the state calls Julie Breen.
All right, can you raise your right hand for me, please? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can lower your hand.
May I have a moment, please?
Yes. State your name for the record.
Julie Breen.
All right.
And Judge, we've agreed, if I could just ask Ms. Varun to speak along, if that's okay with the court.
Sure. And if you all can remember from last time, just remain seated. You don't have to stand. And please speak in the microphone because everybody is whispering.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Yes.
All right, Ms. Varun, I'm gonna ask you, do you have your report in front of you?
I do not.
Okay. I'm just gonna go through your report. And basically, the parts I'm asking are what is the medical relevance behind having that in the report? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. If you could turn to page 4. And that top part where it says history of reported abuse. The actor's name, age, and relationship to patient. Do you see that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so it says Raymond Alejandro, age 22, step uncle. How is that medically relevant for you?
So we use that information because as medical professionals, we're mandated reporters. So if I have to notify any sort of investigative service, I have to have certain information to tell them.
So is it for medical purposes or for reporting purposes?
So safety is part of medical.
Okay. So how would that, just medically speaking, how does that help you?
So medically speaking, in terms of the child is maybe saying something happened to them, I have to understand the components of that. And so it may be in relation to the relationship of whoever it is to the child.
Okay. And Judge, did you want to rule on them as we go or?
Oh, I can.
Okay.
If it makes it easier for everyone.
Sure. As to that part, the actor's name, age, and relationship. We would object that it's not medically relevant. It's more for reporting for law enforcement.
Right, state.
Yes, Your Honor, just that the witness did testify that safety is a part of her medical assessment. I would like to explore that just a bit further with a couple questions if the court's okay with that.
Yes, you may proceed.
So is this on? No. Ms. Green, you said safety is a part of medical. What do you mean by that?
So medical in terms of, yes, there may be something medically wrong, but safety in terms of this is a child. So we also may have to discharge the child. So we have to assess safety as well to make sure it could be part of the medical concern as well.
And is that part, safety as a medical concern, is that part of your position as a sexual assault nurse examiner?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, defense's objection is overruled.
Thank you, Judge. Turning to page 5. So just so the court knows, we've agreed to one redaction as to why kids tell and don't. But moving on, it says, what made you decide to tell? It says, I knew it wasn't right. How is that medically relevant? Oh, I'm sorry, that's the part we decided to redact. I apologize. The part on top, lots of kids don't tell for a whole lot of reasons. What are reasons you didn't tell in the beginning? It says, I don't know.
Again, it relates to safety as part of my medical assessment.
Okay. So I guess you're just saying safety is in the medical realm?
Correct, when we're assessing children of this nature.
Okay. Is it just for children or is it adults too?
I specifically or typically only see children, so it's within my scope
Fair,
for my
fair enough.
practice.
Then it says after that, did you feel better or worse after you were told? It says in between. How does that help you medically?
Sometimes children may have certain disclosures that could be related to medical or safety, so it helps me address that.
If they felt better after they told, how would that help you?
I may not have to do any further assessment.
If they felt worse after they told, how would that change things?
I may have to ask further questions to understand if there is another feeling beyond that or something that may be related to that feeling.
Okay. Then how old were you when you told, or how long was it before you told yesterday? Again, how is that medically relevant?
So it may also be related to safety for this question or questions as well. The concern for potential delayed disclosures and understanding that component of it for safety and medical.
Okay, does it help you, it helps you with safety, does it help you make it, that doesn't necessarily help you with the diagnosis, is that fair?
There could be a situation where it may be an ongoing situation. So if there was other types of contact for an ongoing situation, my medical assessment may be assessing for certain types of injury.
The next is, who did you tell first? My mom. If it was my mom versus my dad or my teacher, how would that be medically relevant?
It could be related again to safety concerns of they may have told somebody at a specific time, and just understanding that component as it relates to medical.
But this just asks who, not a specific time.
Correct.
So how would that change?
I may further follow up on a question,
Okay, did you do that in this case?
not that I documented.
Okay. So in this case, it's not relevant.
It was a question I asked, and so based on the answer, I may or may not follow up.
Okay. Did you, the next one is, did you think any of it was your fault? Again, if a child said, yeah, it was my fault versus no, it wasn't my fault, how would that change your medical diagnosis?
So again, if they have certain types of responses that elicit other certain safety features, such as the child wanting to potentially maybe harm themselves or do anything that could really be related to a safety or medical concern.
But this just says, was it your fault or not?
Yes, and based on their response, I would then ask further questions.
Okay. And then I guess the next one is, do you think it's the actor's fault? So is that the same rationale behind that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then do you think that all of it was the actor's fault, most of it, or some of it? Says most of it, how is that medically relevant?
It just helps me understand how the child is feeling about the situation.
Okay, so what steps do you take after that, depending on the answer?
So there, I believe the next page has some other questions related to behavioral issues.
Okay, so that question is answered, the things that you're trying to get from that question is answered on the next page, is that fair?
Sometimes, yes.
When is it not?
If the child is not able to answer these questions.
And Judge, so just for the court's notice, that's the objections on page 5.
All right, state any follow-up questions or no?
Yes, please, Your Honor.
You may proceed.
Ms. Green, on this additional history, if applicable, you said a lot of these had to do with safety. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. As part of your sexual assault nurse examination, is a psychological component also included in that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and why is that important?
Just because, again, it relates to safety. So if the child has any concerns of not being in a safe environment to go home, whether they are feeling a certain way or a certain feeling about someone else in the home, or that may be around or near them, it's important for me to follow up on that.
And some of these questions relate to how the child felt about the assault. Would that be more of like trying to see if they needed any psychological help after this or throughout this process?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so just to clarify, safety, psychological, emotional, and medical, all of that is included in your sexual assault nurse examination. Is that a fair statement?
Yes, ma'am.
And additionally, just one more question. In your experience, can psychological symptoms lead to conditions that could be manifested physically?
They could be.
For example, like cutting or any sort of outward display of psychological trauma.
Yes.
No further questions, John.
All right, objection is overruled.
Thank you, Judge. Turning to page 10, I think is the next one. And 10 and 11, 10 and the last page go together. So just the, basically your finding is that what you found is as consistent with sexual abuse as it is inconsistent with sexual abuse. Is that fair?
Consistent with the history provided.
Right. So the findings are basically, it's as consistent, the physical exam you did is as consistent with sexual abuse as it is with someone who wasn't sexually abused. Is that fair?
So children can have normal assessments with a history
Right,
of abuse.
or they get normal assessments without history of abuse.
Correct.
So if you're looking at the assessment itself, it's as consistent with sexual abuse as it is consistent with not having sexual abuse.
But we have a history of it. Yes.
Right. That's just based on what he's telling you.
Correct.
Okay, but based on, like I said, the physical things that you look at, and that the history supports concern for sexual abuse, that's based solely on what he's telling you, right?
Yes.
Okay. The physical findings that we have in here are as consistent with sexual abuse as they are with no sexual abuse.
Yes.
Okay. So Judge, just for those findings and really the testimony, object that I'm not sure how it helps the jury to have somebody,
Oh, please remain seated.
oh, sorry.
No problem.
It helps the jury, when someone comes in to testify, that things are as consistent with someone who wasn't sexually abused as they are consistent with someone who was sexually abused. I don't know how that makes helps the jury make a determination, other than trying to basically not have specific hearsay, although there is specific hearsay in here, backdoored through this nurse's testimony, when we're gonna hear from Jesus himself. So I don't think that this witness really helps the jury determine any issue in this case.
All right, state.
Yes, Your Honor, if I could just have a few follow-up questions.
Yes.
Ms. Green, this normal examination finding, sorry, let me back up, the diagnostic impressions. What do you use those for?
So for a medical treatment and diagnosis.
And what are they based on?
So experience and what we use for as far as like articles and things like that to help us to guide our practice.
And specifically, when you're saying they're based on are they based solely on the history, or are they based on the entire medical examination that you do as a sexual assault nurse examiner?
It can be on the whole spectrum.
All right.
Judge, if I could just ask one follow-up,
Yes.
sorry, Ms. Vereen. I believe it says there on page 10, the normal examination findings. However, the majority of the examinations of sexually abused children are normal or non-specific regardless of the type of sexual acts. Again, that's more of a general statement about kids. How would that being in your report, how does that help you medically diagnose someone in this case?
So it may be normal, but it is consistent with a history, that there is a concern for sexual abuse.
Okay, but how does that medically help you?
So just because there's a history, the child still has a normal exam. So if the child had an abnormal exam, there may be additional follow-up.
Okay. And so, I mean, there's no physical indication, right?
Not physically, but we do recommend counseling, things like that, based on the history.
Right. And so, Judge, part of the objection too is based on all of this coming in and saying, well, basically based on just what the child tells me, I'm gonna recommend these things, is basically going to bolster or try to help the credibility of Jesus by saying, okay, well, this nurse believes because now she's recommending these counseling and treatment. So that would be another part of the objection.
All right. Objection will be overruled. Is there anything else?
No, Your Honor.
All right, if you all can make sure that you have everything that is redacted properly, has that already been done?
Yes, I believe so.
All right, and counsel, if you'll review it and make sure that people can't see through certain things.
Yes, Judge.
And then with regards to, and my understanding is that the alternate has been in a car. And state, call your next witness.
State calls Julie Green.
All right, can you raise your right hand for me, please? Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, just make sure you keep your voice up so everyone can hear. And state your name for the record.
Julie Vereen.
All right.
And Ms. Green, how are you employed?
I'm employed as a registered nurse at CHRISTUS Children's
And how long have you been a registered nurse?
for 10 years.
Do you specialize in any sort of field as a registered nurse at CHRISTUS?
Yes, I am a sexual assault nurse examiner as well as a certified pediatric emergency nurse.
And what is a sexual assault nurse examiner?
Yes, a sexual assault nurse examiner is a specialized registered nurse who provides comprehensive and compassionate care to a person who has an outcry or concern of abuse.
And do you have to have any sort of education or training?
Yes.
Can you please go over that for us?
Yes, so I am certified through the Texas Office of Attorney General. My education required me to sit through 80 hours of didactic or in-person learning, 40 hours for pediatric, and then 40 hours for adult adolescent. And then along with that, I had to complete a certain number of well-child exams, pelvic examinations, as well as courtroom time testimony to observe, and then a certain number of pediatric sexual assault medical examinations, as well as adult adolescent examinations with a preceptor.
And all of that's just to become the sexual assault nurse.
Yes.
Do you do additional training after you hold that title?
Yes, in order to keep up the certification, every 2 years we have to recertify through specific education and examination requirements.
And do you hold any other training certificates?
Yes, I have a certified pediatric emergency nurse certification.
And you mentioned earlier that part of your training is testimony.
Yes,
How many times have you testified before?
I would say at least 10 times.
And how many, if you can put a number on it, how many examinations have you performed
Over 700 pediatric examinations.
as a sexual assault nurse examiner?
Yes.
So can you tell us what is a sexual assault exam?
Yes, so the process is essentially a patient will walk up to triage and may have a concern of whether an outcry or a concern. And I'll be notified, and the process is to get a consent from the child or the guardian who is with them. I'll then obtain a history so I can understand what it is that happened, which guides my examination. My examination will include a head-to-toe assessment, including a detailed anogenital assessment. I'll further consider potential evidence collection and also sexually transmitted infection testing.
So let's go through, would you call that a comprehensive exam?
Yes.
Okay. And can you tell us what the history is?
Yes, so the history is basically understanding why the child came to see me.
And the head to toe examination, can you walk us through that?
Yes, so based on the history, I'll try to focus in on what the concern is, but also detailed head to toe. So starting from the head, looking all over the patient's skin, looking for any concerns of any potential trauma, and a detailed anogenital assessment.
What is that anogenital assessment, and can you tell us about that?
Yes, so depending on the child being male or female, it may be a little different. It depends. I'll basically look at different body parts. Sometimes I'll use what's called a colposcope, which is basically a magnifying glass attached to a camera, which you can then see on a computer screen. It basically, the way I explain it to a child is it makes small parts a lot bigger so I can further assess certain areas.
And you said there's a difference between females and males. What if it was a male exam?
Yes, so there may be different positions I may ask the patient to sit in just so I can properly assess certain body parts.
And how are they dressed at this time?
For the patient, they will have a patient gown on. And then based on what body part I'm looking at, I may ask the patient to help me further assess a certain area by removing the gown of a certain body part.
And who is in the room whenever this anogenital exam is taking place?
During the anogenital exam, the patient can have anybody in the room that they want.
And then walk us through what you mean evidence collection.
Yes, so in the state of Texas, 120 hours is the window of evidence collection. And based on certain types of histories given, we can consider evidence collection.
And what types of things are you collecting?
It could be a patient's known DNA swab from inside their cheek. And based on the history, I could swab or get swab different parts of the body.
So what you are collecting for evidence would be based on the history that the child told you.
Yes.
Okay, so for example, if they didn't talk about any bodily fluids or anything having to do with their mouth, would you collect anything from them?
Not necessarily. It's very history driven and patient specific.
And then you mentioned that you also do STD testing as well.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, what type of, how do you go about collecting that specimen?
Yes, so there's various ways. A patient may be able to urinate in a cup, or if it's a place that I would need to swab, like inside the mouth, I could take a special test with a swab that area, and then put it into the specimen collection container.
And just going back to the anogenital examination, do you perform that yourself?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you always find evidence of trauma or abrasions?
Not always.
And so going back to the first thing that you do, was that the history that's taken?
Well, getting the consent and then the history. Yes, ma'am.
And who is in the room whenever the history is taken?
It's typically just me.
Okay, so, well, and the child.
And yes, and the patient.
Okay. So there's no other, like parent or guardian around?
Yes, ma'am.
I think, is there any parent or guardian around during the history?
No.
Nurse Serene, I'm showing you what's been pre-marked as States Exhibit 3. Do you recognize that?
Yes.
What is it?
It is an examination of a patient I saw.
Okay. And how do you know that it is that examination?
It has my name on it. Okay. And has a patient sticker.
And has it been changed or altered in any way?
Not that I'm aware of.
Your Honor, at this time, State offers States Exhibit 3 into evidence pending any objections from defense.
No further objections.
All right, then states exhibit number 3 is admitted.
Your Honor, may the state have permission to publish?
Yes.
Ms. Frayne, can you see that clearly?
Yes.
So I'd like to talk about a little bit of the history of the reported abuse or assault. This is the part where the child and you are just in the room by yourselves.
Yes, on the document.
Okay, and can you just walk us through how it went in this case?
Read the history.
Yes, and you know what, let me back up. Who was the child in this case?
I cannot tell by this.
All right, if you need to step down to see, because I know sometimes the bidding on that is not as clear, you're more than welcome to step down. And defense, feel free to move about the well as you need to. You may step down if it's easier for you to read from there.
Okay.
And I did flip to page 3. On this page, does that refresh your memory who the child is?
Yes.
And who is that child?
It says Jesus Leza.
And so then going back to the history portion of your interview, can you talk to us about how you performed that portion in this interview?
Yes. So typically the patient and I are just in a room, and I'm asking the patient to tell me what it is that, or the reason they came to see me.
And then can you tell us how it went in this case? And you can look at the document to refresh your memory.
Read the history.
Yes.
The history states, Jesus, do you know why you came to see me? The patient, Jesus Leza, stated, because I don't know how to explain it. I got touched inappropriately. Where did you get touched? On my private part. Where is your private part? My penis. What touched your penis? Raymond Alejandro's hand. Who is this person? He is my step uncle. How old is he? 22. Does he live with you? No. Was this over your clothes, under your clothes, or both? It happened, one was under, and then next one was over. It was like 5 a.m. on Sunday, and I was supposed to be asleep. Before he comes to my door, he knocks. I acted like I was asleep, and he walked in and touched me inappropriately like 15 times. Then later that day,
Excuse me,
Yes.
that's not being read correctly.
Yes, Your Honor. Nurse Frayne, if we could just go back, if you can read the last sentence again.
It was like 5 a.m. on Sunday, and I was supposed to be asleep. Before he comes to my door, he knocks. I acted like I was asleep, and he walked in and touched me inappropriate for like 10 to 15 minutes. Then later that day, it could have been like 12 to 2. I was playing on my Xbox and he came in my room and I was on my gaming chair. And he laid next to me and rubbed up against me with his hand on my penis, but it was over my clothes. Did he ever make you do anything to his body? No. Did anything else happen to your body? No. Does he have any naked photos or videos of you? No, he doesn't. Did he ever say anything to you? No. Is he currently in your house? No, he isn't. Did anything else happen? No. Is there anything else you want to tell me? No.
And when you're talking to him during this history portion of the exam, did you determine when this occurred?
He stated Sunday.
And was there a date given?
I have 2/21/21 documented.
And was there a time frame given?
I have 0500 and 12 to 1400.
And do you make a note of how he was during this, how he was when he was talking to you?
Yes.
And what was that?
I have documented alert, direct, polite, makes good eye contact, quiet, and cooperative.
And so just moving on, after you do the history, are there additional history questions that you ask?
Yes.
And what's the purpose of those?
For medical treatment and diagnosis.
And are you trying to, let me just back up. What are the questions that you asked in this case?
I asked, how old were you the first time this happened? But I could determine this from the history. Do we continue?
Yes, please.
Same thing, if abuse occurred less than 1 year, what month did it begin and end? That can be determined.
Could I ask you to please slow down?
Yes, ma'am, from the history. How old were you last time this happened? This could be determined from going back to the history. And lots of kids don't tell for a whole lot of reasons. What were some of the reasons you didn't want to tell at the beginning? The patient stated, I don't know. I also asked, did you feel better or worse after you told? The patient stated in between. How old were you when you told? Or how long was it before you told? The patient stated yesterday. Who did you tell first? My mom. When you think about what happened, do you think any of it was your fault? The patient stated no.
And then going back, do you ask them whose fault they think it is?
I could,
And in this case, did you?
no.
And when you ask, do you think it's the actor's fault? What was the response?
Could you go a little further down?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
What was the question? I'm sorry.
When you asked, do you think it was the actor's fault? What was the response?
There is no response to that question.
I'm just gonna-
Oh, yes. Do you think any of it was yes? Yes.
And then the next question there.
Do you think that all of it was the actor's fault, most of it, or some of it? Patient stated most of it.
And is it common in your experience for children to feel like they are somewhat to blame?
Sometimes.
So I want to talk a little bit about the evidence collection portion of your exam. So whenever you're collecting evidence, do you ask them, have you showered, have you eaten, changed clothes, all of that?
Yes, if I'm considering evidence collection.
And in this case, did you consider evidence collection?
Yes.
And did the patient indicate that he had done anything that would, affect your evidence collection?
Yes.
And can you go over that for us, please?
The patient stated they urinated, showered ×2, had something to eat and drink, used toothpaste or mouthwash. They also wiped and changed clothes, and also defecated.
And so going over the type of contact here in your report, what type of contact did you notate?
Hand genital.
And that would be whose hand on whose genital?
It'd be the actor's hand on the patient's genital.
Now, in the history earlier, the patient said that the part that he was touched was his penis. Is that part of the genitals?
Yes.
And then there is a little note here. Can you tell us what that says?
Can you point to the part one more time?
Yes, it looks like a handwritten note.
It says over and under clothing.
Thank you. And is that your handwriting?
Yes, ma'am.
And so this next part of the sexual assault nurse examination is the behavioral symptoms and the physical symptoms. Why do you go over the behavioral symptoms?
It's part of my medical assessment.
And here, did he indicate any behavioral symptoms?
Yes, when asked about the anger question, yes is documented and he stated what he did.
Okay. And is that the reason for him feeling that emotion?
Potentially.
And Nurse Vereen, after you completed your sexual assault nurse examination, did you make any findings?
Yes,
What were those? Just one moment.
so the diagnostic impression is normal examination findings, so the history can be consistent with the history provided. However, the majority of examinations of sexually abused children are normal or non-specific, regardless of the type of sexual acts.
And can you explain that just kind of in layman's terms for us?
Yes, so the child may have a normal examination, but the history is still concerning for sexual abuse.
Okay, and the history you mean by what they told you?
Yes,
And part of having normal examination findings, you state there that is that common or uncommon?
it can be common.
Nurse Vereen, just part of your training and experience. Part of your training and experience, would you consider this sexual assault nurse examination, would you consider it invasive?
No, not necessarily.
And about how long do they typically take?
They can take anywhere from, depending on the patient, I would say anywhere from 2 to 3 up to even 6 hours.
And again, that goes to whatever they tell you in the history.
And how the patient is tolerating the exam, yes, ma'am.
And then, so for some portions of this exam, in this specific case, actually would help refresh your memory to have your report in front of you.
Sure, yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes.
So is it safe to say that in portions of this exam, Jesus Loiza was unclothed with just the hospital gown on?
Yes,
Was he by himself during portions of the exam with you?
during the history.
And were you asking him potentially invasive questions?
About what happened, yes.
Would you call this whole situation or this whole exam, would you call it comfortable? Or would you try your best to make it as comfortable as possible?
Yes.
I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
Right, defense?
Thank you. Ms. Vereen, so the purpose of the exam, again, part of it is for the medical treatment and diagnosis, is that right?
Yes, sir.
And on this, on the first page you have there, it says referred by, you got 2 check marks there. One is a self-referral, the other is a check mark LE. What is LE?
Law enforcement.
Okay, so law enforcement did refer the case over to, maybe not you specifically, but to you guys.
Could be yes.
Okay. And part of your duties can sometimes be collecting evidence in a case, right?
Yes.
Okay, and that wasn't done here, right? You didn't collect any evidence?
Other than the history.
Okay. So in touching cases, which is what we have alleged here, there can still be physical evidence from touching cases. Would you agree with me?
On the patient's body,
Yes.
it depends on the potential contact.
Okay. Or the clothes.
It could be another factor.
Okay. And on the last page, well, actually, on page 4, you talked about general appearance. You talked about they were alert and direct and make good eye contact. Do you see that?
Yes.
Now, again, those are just observations that you have, right?
Yes.
So you've had children who were maybe not as alert or they were indirect, right?
Yes.
Okay, and kids who maybe didn't make good eye contact with you.
Yes. Everybody's individual.
Okay, so again, these are just observations that you made about Jesus, but again, every individual is going to be different, right?
Yes, that's specific to the patient.
Okay. Now, we talked about, if you go to page 10, at the bottom, you have treatment plan. Do you see that?
Yes,
And so that first part and fourth part are talking about Center for Miracles and to clarify findings, and possible further evaluation of sexually transmitted infections. So basically, you make a treatment plan to say, hey, look, you guys should follow up with Center for Miracles. Is that fair?
it could be just depending. I don't get the results of the sexually transmitted infection testing, so it's a possibility.
Okay, so again, you're not aware if that was done in this case or not.
I'm not aware.
Okay. Now the history that you have, or on page 10, the normal examinations findings, you say can be consistent with history provided. You remember that?
Yes,
Okay. So the history provided again is based on what the person is telling you.
correct.
All right. So based on what he's telling you, it could be consistent with sexual abuse, right?
Yes,
But based on what he's telling you in your findings, it could be inconsistent with sexual abuse. Is that right?
it could be.
Okay. And on that last page, you said the history supports concern for sexual abuse, right?
Which page?
The last page. The last page in your report. You wrote history supports concern for sexual abuse.
That is not my signature.
Oh, okay. Okay. So that's not even part of yours.
That is the medical director note, I believe.
Okay. But for the physical history or physical examination that you did, just to be clear, it's as consistent with someone being sexually abused as it is consistent with someone not being sexually abused. Is that fair?
Yes,
And anytime someone comes in, whether it's a child or an adult, I know you work with children, so anytime someone comes in and says that they were sexually abused in any sort of way, you're gonna have concern based on just what they're telling you. Is that fair?
yes, from a medical standpoint.
I'll pass the witness.
All right, state,
If I may have just one moment, Your Honor.
yes.
Nurse Green, I wanted to go back to your examination findings on your diagnostic impression section. The normal examination finding that you have there, is that a common finding?
Yes, it can be.
Does there need to be physical evidence to indicate that a sexual assault may have happened?
No, we have the history.
Right, and then in this case, especially when it was touching over the clothes, even under the clothes, would you expect to find any injury?
No, not necessarily.
And then again, after he showered and changed clothes, would you expect anything to be on the body or on the clothes that he's wearing?
No, not with what I have been trained and educated.
And is that why in this case you didn't collect anything?
Yes.
Other questions, Your Honor?
Defense,
Yes, Ms. Ream, just to be clear again, the history is just based off what someone is telling you, correct?
For medical purposes, yes.
Okay. And as a nurse and someone who's done this, if a child had told you I was sexually abused, your recommendation would be to get that same exam done right away. Is that fair?
If there is a concern for it, yes.
Okay. And a concern would be someone telling you that it happened, right?
Yes.
Okay. I'll pass the witness.
No further questions.
all right, is this witness excused?
From the state, yes.
Yes, Your Honor.
Right, you may step down. If you'll leave the exhibit with the court reporter, please.
Yes, ma'am.
And state, are you ready for your next witness?
We are, Judge.
All right, if you'll call your next witness.
Jesus, can you tell us, what's your date of birth?
11/23/07.
Do you go to high school?
Yes, sir.
What's your classification?
Junior,
Okay. What high school do you go to?
Arlen High School.
Pardon?
Yes, sir.
Are you in any extracurricular activities?
Yeah, I'm in HOSA and MHS.
And I'm sorry, but what is HOSA?
It's a health organization for students who want to pursue the medical field.
Okay. And your mom's a nurse, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Or yes, sir. Sorry.
It's okay, no worries. So what kind of what kind of things do you like to do for fun?
Right now, I typically like volunteering. I'm in a group called the Litter Pickup, so I go around the school and I pick up trash that kids leave. And I also like volunteering with kids through NHS. So I get volunteer hours, and then I help kids. Like most recently, I went to a Halloween party that Henderson was throwing. It's a elementary school that is a branch of Harlem, and we helped throw an event.
Okay, and you mentioned LHS, what is that?
It's National Honor Society. It's you have to have a 90 GPA or better, and you have to have an attendance of like I think it's like 10 days.
So you're pretty active in school.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Are there any sports that you like to play?
I recently got out of sports, but I used to play football. I played football since I was like 5, and then the transition from middle school to high school, I played a little bit of basketball.
Okay, and then just for fun, you play basketball too.
Yes, sir.
All right, Jesus, tell me about where you live. It's a house, you live in Bear County?
Yes, sir. I live in a house
Okay. And how long have you been living in that house?
since 2019, I believe.
And who lives with you at the moment?
Currently, my 2 sisters and my brother, and my stepdad and my mom.
What are your sisters' names?
Ariana and Avery, and then my brother's name is Jose.
You said you've been living in the house since 2019,
Yes, sir.
and between 2019 and today, was there anyone else that lived in the house or stayed in the house?
Yes.
What was that?
Raymond Alejandro.
And is Raymond Alejandro in this courtroom today?
Yes, sir.
And I have to do this for the record, but can you just identify him with an article of clothing?
White collared shirt, white long sleeve collar shirt.
For the record, the witness has identified the defendant. Who is Raymond Alejandro to you?
He's my step-uncle.
And do you know how old he is?
No,
Do you know how much older he is from you?
no. I'm sorry.
How long have you known him?
Oh, no. I know I've known him since my childhood. I've known him since my mom and stepdad have been together.
So at the moment, you can't think of the year maybe when you. How long have your mom and dad been together? Or your stepdad?
I don't know. Maybe 8 years, I think.
At the beginning, you can remember, how was your relationship with Mr. Alejandro?
In the beginning, I mean, I believe I saw him frequently. I think he was still in high school when we first met him. I don't know. And then a little bit later when he grew up, I know he couldn't find like a stable job, and he stayed with us.
Did you ever, I guess, interact with him in any way? How were the interactions with you? Were they friendly? Were they aggressive?
I mean, like when he was in high school, I didn't know him. I was too young, but I really don't recall that. But I know when he moved in with us at our old apartment, which before we got the house we had, he, was, I mean, he was like my older brother, honestly.
Did you guys talk a lot?
Yeah, he lived with us.
What kind of activities did y'all do together?
He, I mean, I liked playing video games when I was younger. I still do, but I mean, I don't really recall how often he would play, but I mean, we would sometimes play. I don't know how frequent.
Okay. What kind of things would Mr. Alejandro do around the house with your family?
He would take care of my brother.
Jose?
Yes,
Okay.
at the apartment.
And in 2019, when y'all moved to the house, did he continue staying with you all?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. So let's talk about. Well, so to your knowledge, did Mr. Alejandro ever work or go to school?
I knew he worked. I believe he wanted to be a chef, I think. I didn't really know what jobs he had or what he did. I know. Can you repeat the question, please?
So did he work or go to school? But it sounds like you already answered the
Oh,
question.
yeah.
He said that he wanted to be a chef. Did he enjoy cooking?
I think so.
Did he cook for the family?
Sometimes, yes.
Did he ever take care of you?
Yes.
Your parents, the jobs that they had, were they always home or were they together?
It really just depended. Both of my parents, like my stepdad and my mom, their jobs are very demanding. So from what I recall, I mean, I don't know how often they would be home really. I knew my mom got off at a certain time because she takes care of she works. She's a, sorry, I forgot what it's called. She works with a patient at home who has cerebral palsy.
Um, so it's fair to say that you spent a lot of time with Mr. Alejandro.
Yes,
And as time went by, you mentioned that he was like your older brother.
yes,
Did you trust him?
yes.
I want to talk to you a little bit about the house in February of 2021.
Okay.
Okay, in the house, the layout. So how many bedrooms does the house have?
4,
4 bedrooms.
yes.
Okay, I'm going to show you what has been marked as State's Exhibit 4. What is State's Exhibit 4?
What do you mean? Oh, that's my house.
How do you know it's your house?
I mean, it's the exact layout.
I can't hear
That's-
you.
Sorry. This is the exact layout. This is the garage. That's my room. It's my brother's room. It's my sister's room. Well, now both my sister's room, and that's my parents' room.
Okay, and just keep in mind that the court reporter is writing everything that we're saying, so we have to speak in a pace where she can keep up with what we're saying, because if we speak too fast, it might complicate the
sorry.
record. Okay, so you have been living in this house since 2019, and does this paper or layout, is it a clear and accurate representation of your house?
Yes, sir.
And of course, you have personal knowledge over this.
Yes.
Okay. Your Honor, at this time, the same moves to admit State's Exhibit 4.
No objection.
All right, State's Exhibit number 4 is admitted without objection.
Permission of others?
Granted.
Okay, so I'm gonna show you State's Exhibit 4. And publishing it as well to the jury. So walk us through, I guess, the house. This would be the porch,
Yes, sir.
okay, is that the entrance?
Yes.
Okay, and what's over here?
That is my brother's room. What's this?
Okay, and then this is the garage,
Yes.
that's the foyer, bathroom number 2, and then bedroom number 3.
That's my room.
That's your room?
Yes, sir.
Is this the bathroom that you and your brother share?
Yes.
Okay. And then over here we have the family room. Is there furniture over here?
Yes, it's if you look at the window, the way it was set up is like the second kind of, if you go up a little higher, right there. If you no, a little lower, right there. If you were to draw an L, that would be our couch. Or kind of like a giant seat.
Okay. Then we have the kitchen. And then what is bedroom number 2?
That was my sister's room. Now it's both my sister's room.
And then this would be the master bedroom.
Yes, sir. That's my parents' room.
Okay. So in 2019, when Mr. Alejandro was living there, what were the sleeping arrangements like?
So I obviously have my own room, so I slept in my own room. My parents had theirs. And then my one sister wouldn't really sleep in her room. She would sleep with my parents. And then my brother Jose would sleep in his room, and Alejandro would sleep with him, I believe, on their bed. But I know occasionally he would sleep on the couch.
The couch in the family room?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And the bedroom number 4, Jose, is what kind of bed does he have?
Like size or what do you mean?
Size wise?
It wasn't as big as a king, and I knew he had a bigger bed size than me, and I had a twin.
And was that bed, did they used to be together, the beds that you and him have?
Yes, there were bunk beds.
Okay. So what about your bedroom? So what kind of furniture did you have in your bedroom
When we first moved in,
in 2019?
okay. So if you can imagine this, it was a bunk bed, and on the left side it had a ladder. On the right side it had my closet with my clothes in it. On the top was my bed with rails, and at the bottom we separated the bed, and we made the underneath my brother's bed, and we made the top mine. And so I had the top, and it's kind of like, it was kind of, high up, and in between there was an empty space where the bed would have been, and it was positioned on towards the window, or like on the side of the window.
In this area?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did you have any, electronics in the room?
I had an Xbox, yes.
Okay. And I would imagine the TV?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What kind of things would you do for fun in your room?
I mean, I love playing video games. I would play Madden, Call of Duty.
What was the second one?
Call of Duty. I played Call of Duty mainly when we switched to the house. And
And where would you?
what was that?
Sorry, finish your answer.
No. I was just.
And where would you sit to play video games?
I would sit in between the space, kind of where my bunk bed was, and I had this gaming chair,
What color was the gaming chair?
black. Had speakers on the side. Didn't really work.
Okay, so I'm going to show you what's been marked as Case Exhibit 5. What is Case Exhibit 5?
That's a picture of my room.
A picture of your...
Me playing video games in my room, yes.
Okay. When you said it's a picture of you playing video games?
Yeah.
Okay, and where are you playing the video games?
In my room.
Okay. And you have personal knowledge over your room because you live in you pretty much sleep in your room, right?
Yes, sir.
Is this a fair and accurate depiction of the chair and in your room?
Yes.
Okay. And you said that it's you?
Yes.
Okay. Move to admit Case Exhibit 5, Judge.
No objection.
States Exhibit number 5 is admitted without objection.
Permission to publish?
Granted.
Okay, Susan, I'm showing you now Case Exhibit 5 and being published to the jury. I know it's a little dark, but who is that?
That's me.
Okay. And is that your closet?
Yes.
Okay. What else do we see here?
You can see the light of my Xbox and the controller down below me, and then you can see my phone on the opposite side.
Okay.
Yeah, right there.
Okay. Are you watching TV or are you playing?
I'm playing.
And I know it's kind of hard to see, but what are you on?
My gaming chair.
Okay. And how would you describe the gaming chair? Is it like a regular chair?
No, it's like a crescent moon that sits on the ground. Usually a gaming chair is like a typical chair like the one I'm sitting on right now.
And this is a crescent moon chair?
Yeah.
Does it have any legs?
No.
And how high is it from the floor? From where you're sitting at from the floor?
Probably like not even a foot, maybe half a foot.
And this is the chair that you had in 2019?
Yes.
How long have you had this chair? How long did you have this chair for? If you remember.
I knew I had it for a while. And then we moved it to the garage because it broke and it completely snapped in the middle. So eventually we had to get rid of it. But maybe like 5 years probably.
Okay. So in February 2021, this was still your chair?
Yes.
All right, I want to talk about what happened on February the 20th and February 21st of 2021, okay?
Yes, sir.
So February 20th and February 21, it was a Saturday to Sunday, right? Okay. So where were you that evening?
Which evening? The 21st.
Going from 20th to the 21st?
I was in my room playing video games because it was a weekend and I had the day off.
Okay, so it was not a school night, right?
Wait, what was that? I'm
So
sorry.
from Saturday night to Sunday night,
Yes.
February 20th to 21st.
Oh,
Does that
okay.
make sense?
Yes, yes,
Okay, it was not a school night because the next day was Sunday, right?
yes,
Okay, so you say you were playing video games?
yes.
Okay. And how long were you playing video games for?
Can you restate the times, please?
Okay, well, so that night, what were you
Yes.
doing?
That night of the 20th,
Mhm.
I was that night I was not playing video games. I was watching YouTube, I believe, because it was late at night, and usually when it gets to a certain time, I just watch TV and I don't play video games. I thought you were referring to like the 21st in the afternoon.
Okay, so let's talk about the one in the evening first.
Okay.
Okay, let's go chronologically.
Okay.
You said you were watching YouTube,
This
right? Where would you watch YouTube,
okay.
right? And what device do you use to watch YouTube?
My Xbox.
Okay, so it needs to be connected to the TV?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And just to, for the record, YouTube, you're talking about the platform that shows videos?
Yes.
Okay. How long were you watching videos?
That night, longer than I should have. I think. Like, do you want a specific date? Or like time, sorry.
If you remember.
I know it was past 12 o'clock. I don't really remember the specific time.
And you're talking about 12 o'clock, meaning 12 in the morning?
Yes.
Okay. Do you normally have bedtime or a curfew?
Yes.
Okay. And what happens when you stay awake after your bedtime?
I want to get my stuff taken away.
Like,
My mom.
so you were watching videos, and what happens next?
I was watching videos way past my bedtime. And I was watching videos way past my bedtime and I had heard a knock at my door. And I had rushed to act like I was asleep because I didn't want to get in trouble.
So when you said you heard a knock, was it one or several?
It was 2.
So was it loud?
Loud, yes, but kind of faster than that.
Can you demonstrate? And when you heard that knock, what comes to your mind immediately?
I don't want to get in trouble.
So what did you do?
I turned off my Xbox and I turned off my TV and I pretended to be asleep.
Were you Who did you think it was at the time?
My mom.
So did anybody come in?
Yes.
Who was it?
It was Raymond and Alejandro
How do you know that?
because I slightly had my eyes open.
So you were pretending to be asleep. Your eyes were closed, but you said your eyes were slightly open.
Yes.
And what happened next?
He had walked in and laid down next to me where my feet are. And he touched me.
What were you wearing?
But can you give me a second?
Yes.
I was wearing shorts, I believe.
Were you wearing anything under your shorts?
Underwear.
And you said that he lay down on which part of your body?
Left side.
The top or the bottom?
What do you mean?
Which part of the bed did he lay? Did he stop at, or where did he place himself at?
Can you rephrase that again? I'm sorry.
So he fits into the room,
Yes.
and where does he go?
Are you referring that I have a bunk bed? No.
So Mr. Alejandro walks into your room. Which part of your room does he go to?
Well, I had gotten a new bed and the bed was on near my closet.
Okay.
And so I had he had gotten on the left side, so near the wall.
And what did he do next?
He pulled down my shorts and started can I can I say can I say the word? He started ejaculating me.
So when he pulled your shorts,
Yes.
did he also pull your underwear?
Yes.
So when he pulled your shorts,
Yes.
did he also pull your underwear?
Yes.
How much did he pull?
Probably like to my thighs.
Were you covered?
I don't remember.
So which part of your body was exposed?
My penis.
And I just want to try to describe exactly what he did. So which part of his body touched your penis?
I believe it was his left hand. I think
Okay.
touched my penis.
And what kind of movement was he doing with with his hand?
Up and down.
How was his hand position on your penis?
You want me to visibly show you? I don't know. Like that.
Do you remember how long he did it for?
No.
Is it longer than a minute?
I don't remember.
What was going through your mind when he was doing that?
I really didn't know how to feel. I guess disassociated, I guess.
Was he saying anything?
No.
Did your body have any reaction?
No. I tried to fight it.
What do you mean by that?
I mean, when you're getting touched like that, it's your body's natural reaction. I mean, to get erect.
Is that what you were trying to fight?
What do you mean?
Is that what you were trying to fight to get right?
Yes.
Do you remember what he was wearing?
I think it was gray shorts and he had this long orange t-shirt, or maybe it was just an auburn orange, I think.
What made him stop?
I don't know. He was disinterested. Yes.
And just making sure, I know you said that your eyes were closed and slightly open, but are you sure it was Mr. Alejandro?
Yeah. Do you want me to explain how?
Sure.
We had this nightlight on in the hallway that my brother had to sleep with because he was afraid of the dark. So oftentimes he kept his door open, and that nightlight would shut off and turn on depending on if there was other light. So during the day, it would automatically shut off. It being nighttime, when he walked in through the door, he left the door open, and I saw him walking out.
Around this time, can you describe Alejandro's size and maybe weight, if you know?
I can't give you a specific number.
Was he bigger than you?
Yes.
Did he leave?
Did he what?
Did he leave your room after?
Yes.
So let's talk about what happened the next day.
Okay.
Did you wake up late, or what time did you wake up? Do you remember?
Yeah, I woke up late. No, sorry. Yes, I woke up late.
What did you do when you woke up?
I think I went to go eat cereal, I think. It's usually something I would do when I woke up late. I'd wake up around probably like noon maybe and eat cereal for lunch.
Is there anybody else in the house?
What do you mean by that?
Well, it is Sunday. Do you know if your parents were home?
I don't know about my mom. She might have been home. But I think my dad might have been working because he worked a lot. And during that time he was night shift, so he would sleep during the day and go to work at night.
Okay. So then you went to go eat, and then what happened next? Where did you go?
Back to my room.
What did you do?
Kind of just carried on with my day, played video games.
And then what happened next?
What do you mean?
Well, did anyone else come into your room?
Yes. Maybe Alejandro came in again.
Do you remember the time?
No, I don't. I don't remember specifically the time.
When he came in, did he say anything?
He asked me if I wanted to play video games.
He asked you if you wanted to play video games?
Yes.
Were you already playing at the time?
Yes.
Did you answer him?
I said no.
What did you do?
He grabbed a pillow, and I believe he grabbed the charger for his phone. And, I think I had an extension cord in my room, and he plugged his phone in.
Where were you in your room?
What was that?
Where were you in your room?
In my gaming chair.
He grabbed the pillow, and what did he do with the pillow?
He sat it on my lap and put his head there on my lap.
So he put the pillow on your lap.
Yes.
And then what happened?
And then he started to touch me over the clothes.
What were you wearing?
I believe shorts, maybe. I don't remember.
And when he touched you over the clothes, where did he touch you?
Touch my penis
With what?
with his hand.
Was it one hand or two hands?
One.
And how was he touching you? Can you demonstrate to us?
Was over the clothes, and he kind of just rubbed me like that.
For how long?
I don't remember.
Was he saying anything?
No,
Did you tell him to stop?
no,
Did you say anything?
no.
Why not?
I was scared.
Why?
I didn't know how to feel.
Did you continue playing video games since this time?
I think for a little bit and then I left.
You got up from your chair?
Yes,
Where did you go?
I left my room.
Do you remember what did you do after when you left?
No, I don't. I'm sorry.
Let's talk about what happened the next day. It's Monday. It's a school day. Do you remember going to school?
God, no.
So what happened at school? Did you have a good day? A
No,
normal day?
no.
Cool. Did you tell anybody at school?
No.
So tell us on your day when at school.
It was horrible.
In what way?
I didn't know how to feel.
When you got to school, where did you go?
Home.
And when you got home, what did you do?
I don't remember.
So who was at home when you got home from school?
Same question. Okay. My brother, my sister, and my mom, I think, and I think I don't know. I don't remember if my stepdad was there.
When you were at school, Jesus, when you got home, you said it was a horrible day. What was going through your mind?
If I should tell somebody.
Why were you hesitating?
I was scared.
Huh?
I guess I was in just, feeling shock. Didn't know, and when things like that happen, you really don't know if it really just happened. Kind of just sit there and think to yourself like, that really just happened. That's why I hesitated in telling my mom.
You eventually make a decision to tell somebody.
Yes,
Who did you tell?
my mom.
How did that happen?
My mom always preached to me, somebody.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. You cannot tell me what other people tell you because I would be
Okay.
interested, okay?
Okay, I'm sorry.
So I'm sure your mom told you something that's helpful, but what convinced you to tell?
I knew it was wrong. I knew what happened wasn't okay. And I guess I kind of had to come to terms with that before I finally told somebody.
And how did you tell your mom?
I think I came home from school and I pulled her aside and I told her she needs to sit down and that I need to talk to her about something
Where did you tell her?
in my room.
Was there anybody else in your room?
No, not what I originally told her.
And when you told her, what was her reaction?
Shocked.
What did she do?
I believe she called my stepdad in and we told him and no, but
So you called your stepdad into your room?
no, my mom did.
Your mom did.
Yes,
And did your mom inform your stepdad about what you had told her?
yes.
How much detail did you tell your mom?
I think it was just brief. Wasn't wasn't really worried about getting into detail. I just wanted to tell her. I felt like she had the right to know.
Do you know if Mr. Alejandro was in the house?
No, I don't. My mom kept me in my room
And how long did she keep you in your room?
till he was gone.
So he was there?
When I had originally told my parents yes.
Do you know if your mom reported it to the police?
Yes.
Was it that same day?
Yes.
When the police came in, talk to them?
Yes, I did.
There was some testimony here that when the police left, you were playing basketball.
Yes.
Is that true?
Yes.
Why?
I played sports because kind of helped me, get my mind off of things, stress, school, family issues I have at home. And you don't really think about that when you're, keeping yourself busy.
After your mom made the report to the police, did she take you anywhere else?
Yes.
Where did you take you?
I think it's CHRISTUS.
At the hospital.
Yes.
And did they perform an examination on you?
Yes, they did.
And after the hospital, was there any other place that your mom took you to?
I went to Child Safe.
And what did you do on Child Safe?
I was given an interview.
Was it a forensic interviewer?
Yes, I think.
And who was present for that interview?
Just me and the interviewer.
And did you tell them what happened? Without getting into the details.
Objection, closer here, sir.
All right, could you repeat the question, please?
Did you tell them what happened?
All right, you can answer yes or no. The objection is overruled.
Yes, I did. Excuse me, Your Honor.
Yeah.
Can I have a question?
Sure. All right, everyone, we're going to take a 10-minute break.
Thank you.
Just 1 minute. Don't step down. Just 1 second. All right, please remember everything that I've said. That you're not allowed to discuss anything that you've heard. Everything that you need to know about this case is to come from inside this courtroom, and you're not allowed to think about this case outside the courtroom. Does everyone understand? All right, everyone, please rise for the jury. All right, everyone, please be seated. And state, you may continue.
And so we were talking about the Sane exam at the hospital. How did you feel about that exam?
Object to relevance.
I'll rephrase. How did you feel during the exam?
Object to relevance.
That'll be overruled.
I can answer.
Yes, you can
Okay, thank you,
answer.
Your Honor. I mean, simply put, I felt like violated.
Why not?
So she, if I remember correctly, she looked at my mouth first. Then, and then she looked at my genital area, my penis. And then she had to take a picture of my butthole.
But it was very, what did he say? Was it uncomfortable?
Yes.
What about the forensic interview? How did you feel during the interview?
Can you repeat the same question, please?
So the same question, but for the forensic interview, how did you feel during the interview?
I mean, I don't remember specifically, but I think if I remember, she was very welcoming, understood where I was coming from, a lot of things I was saying.
Did you provide more details in that interview?
If I hear that question.
Did you provide more details than when you spoke with the police officer?
Objection, calls for hearsay.
That'll be overruled.
I don't remember, I'm sorry.
And that's fine. So for Mr. Alejandro, did you ever hear or see him after that day?
No, sir.
You're on the press links.
Defense.
Hey Sue, so we talked about sticking to 2021. Your family that's living in the house, there's your mother Regina, right?
Yes, sir.
then your stepdad, correct? And then your siblings, Joey and Ariana, right?
Yes, sir.
And around this time, Ariana is about 1 year old.
I believe so, yes.
Your at that time in 2021, your biological father was living out of state. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, he lives in San Antonio or near San Antonio now, or no?
Now he does.
Now he does.
After, do you want to know at the time or no?
No, just after that, right?
All right, so everyone, remember, you all can't talk over each other. The court reporter has to take down what's being said, so if you'll let him finish his question, and if you'll let him finish the answer. All right, you may proceed.
Thank you, Judge. So you talked about during this time, Raymond would live or stay on and off with you guys. Is that fair?
When was this?
2021.
Oh, no. 2021, I believe he was living with us.
The whole time.
I don't remember, I'm sorry.
Okay. So he was living with you the entire time, or you're not sure?
I'm not sure.
All right. And while he was staying with you or living with you, he would help take care of you and your siblings, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and because your parents, your mom and your stepdad, there were times where neither of them were home during that time where he would take care of you guys, right?
Yes, sir.
And you said he would even cook sometimes.
Yes.
And when he stayed there or slept there, you said he either slept in your little brother's room or on the couch, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you talked about, during that time, 2021, you and Raymond would hang out together, play video games, do other things. Is that fair?
Yes, sir.
And again, you were showing the layout of the house. You had your own room, right?
Yes, sir.
And there's no lock on your door. Is that right?
No, sir.
Okay. So moving to that Saturday night leading into Sunday morning, you are in your room pretending to, or you're supposed to be asleep. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And did your mom tell you to go to bed at a certain point during that night?
Can you re-ask the question, please?
Sure. You had testified that it was a weekend, so you didn't really have a bedtime. You remember that?
Yes.
Okay. Isn't it also true that you had previously said that your mom told you to go to bed because you had school the next day? You remember that?
Yes.
Okay. So obviously now you know that that's not true. Your mom didn't tell you to go to bed because you had school the next day, because the next day was Sunday. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So when you said that last time, and you were under oath last time, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So that was a mistake, right?
Yes, that was.
Okay. So it's late at night. Now, you said you were watching YouTube videos. Is that fair?
Yes, sir.
You remember yesterday you said you were playing video games.
Sorry, I didn't remember.
Okay.
Could have been a mistake. Sorry.
Okay, that could have been another mistake, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, but you're saying you're watching YouTube videos and it's sometime after midnight, right?
Yes, sir.
Now you said specifically you heard a knock, 2 knocks,
Yes,
right?
sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you remember previously testifying under oath that you heard someone walking down the hall?
I do.
Okay. And you remember previously telling prosecutors that you heard 3 knocks?
Yeah.
Okay. So tell me, so did you hear someone walking down the hall or no?
Could have been a mixture of both. I mean, it's 2021. I don't really.
I didn't hear you.
It could have been a mixture of both. I heard them either walking down the hallway, or I heard a knock, or I heard both. I don't vividly remember. I remember hearing a knock. I remember. I remember walking in my room.
Is it fair to say that your memory is a little bit off from that day?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So you hear a knock, and then that's when you turn everything off, right?
It does make more sense that I would have heard him walking, because how could I have heard the knock and turned off my stuff and gone?
Right.
So yes, I could have heard him walking, and he could have not. I don't vividly remember, I'm sorry.
Okay, so, and going back to the bedtime, you, at one point you said you didn't have a bedtime, right?
Mhm.
If you could just say yes or no, I'm sorry, the court reporter has to get it.
Oh, what was your question again? I'm sorry.
Sure, no problem. You remember saying at one time you said, I don't have a bedtime because it's the weekend, right?
Yes, I do.
Okay, and you also remember saying, my mom told me to go to bed because I had school the next day, right?
Yes, but if it was late enough, then I could have gotten in trouble.
Okay, and then you also told prosecutors that you vividly remember your mom told you to go to bed because of your circadian rhythm. You remember that?
Yes, I said that yesterday.
Okay. So did your mom tell you to go to bed or not?
I don't remember. She didn't tell me out directly, but I knew if I stayed out long enough, then I mean, any mother would have gotten mad at their kid for staying up so long.
Okay, but those are three different things. So I'm asking you, which one is the truth?
Can you repeat the question?
Sure. Is it, and again, justified under oath, your mom told you to go to bed because you had school the next day.
Yes,
You also said you didn't have a bedtime.
yes,
You also said your mom told you to go to bed to help your circadian rhythm.
yes.
Which one of those is the truth? If you remember.
Technically, all three could be the truth. If you stay up at 12, right, you're not going to get as much trouble if you stay up at like 3 o'clock in the morning.
I understand that.
Okay.
I'm asking you, which one happened?
She didn't outright directly tell me, so I wouldn't have known if I would have gotten in trouble or not.
Okay, so when you said under oath last time that she told you to go to bed because you had school the next day, you were mistaken. Is that right?
I don't know. Maybe.
Okay, when you told these prosecutors yesterday that she told you to go to bed to help your circadian rhythm,
Yes.
you were mistaken. Is that right?
Can you repeat the question?
When you said that she told you to go to bed because of your circadian rhythm,
Yes.
that was incorrect.
Yes.
Okay. So,
Maybe. I don't know. I'm sorry.
okay. So now you're in your bedroom, you've turned everything off, and you either hear someone coming down the hall or some knocks at the door.
Yes.
Now, you testified that you were pretending to be asleep, but you had your eye open a little, so you saw Raymond enter the room. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. You also remember telling people that the way you knew is because the light, you saw a silhouette, and you knew that the silhouette was Raymond.
Yes.
Okay. So did you see Raymond directly, or did you see a silhouette?
And when you walk close enough in the dark, you can see.
Sure, but did you just see a silhouette of someone?
I saw
Or-
both.
Okay, so you saw both.
Yes, sir.
All right. So you see both, and Raymond comes and lays down at the foot of your bed. Is that right?
Yes.
And when he walks in, he's kind of walking in to try not to wake you. Is that fair?
Yes.
All right. And you never really open your eyes or say anything during this time. Is that right?
I mean, my eyes were slightly open, but yes, no, I didn't have my eyes completely open. I wasn't.
Okay. And you said that you were worried that it was your mom who was checking on you.
Originally, not when I had saw somebody walking.
You remember previously testifying and saying that your mom usually doesn't even check on you when you go to bed.
Yes.
Okay. So this would have been abnormal for your mom to come check on you, right?
Yes.
And okay, so now Raymond's in there. He's laying at the foot of your bed. And you said, I believe you were wearing shorts and underwear, right?
Yes, sir.
Is it fair to say you've been a little confused? You're not sure exactly what you were wearing that night.
No. pretty sure I was wearing shorts and underwear.
Okay, you're pretty sure, right? Alright. Now, you testified that he pulled your shorts down to your shorts and underwear down to your thighs right now.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Now you were previously saying he used both hands to pull your shorts and underwear off. You remember that?
What was your original statement?
I'm asking you previously said he used both hands to take your shorts and underwear off.
What was the statement before that?
The one you just testified to, that he pulled them down to your
One
thighs.
person at a time, please. May I have the question?
Sure. The previous one was that he pulled them down to your thighs.
Um,
Okay. You also remember telling the prosecutors that you were still wearing your boxers and it might have been through the flap of the boxers. You remember that?
no, I don't remember that. I'm sorry.
You don't remember telling them that?
No, sir.
Okay. You don't remember or you didn't tell them that?
I don't remember.
Okay, so it's possible you could have told them that.
Yes, sir.
Now, you said specifically he was using his left hand. You remember testifying to that right now?
Yes, sir.
But you also had previously testified that you weren't really watching, you didn't really see. You remember that?
Yes.
Okay. So is
How?
it, go
Is
ahead.
that what you're asking? How?
Yeah,
Because he was laying on his right side.
okay. So you're assuming that it's his left hand, right?
Yes.
Alright.
Because he was laying on my left side, and I mean, if you're gonna face towards somebody, you have to lay on your right side. So the only hand that's really free is your left.
So he was laying on your side?
No, I was laying straight in my bed, and he had come and laid on the left side of me.
Okay, didn't you testify he laid at near your feet?
Yes, on the left side near my feet.
Okay. Then you used a very specific term. You said he was ejaculating you.
Yes, sir.
You've never used that term before, is that fair?
Yes, sir.
Okay. When you and before, I guess it was more general. Would you agree with me?
Yes, sir.
All right. So he was did he actually ejaculate you?
Now that I'm older, I know what that means. Yes.
Okay, and he did.
Yes.
All right. And this is the first time that you're ever telling anyone, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you said you don't remember how long. Do you remember previously saying it was 10 to 15 minutes?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, you also talked very vividly about, I guess, physiological or body changes. Do you remember that, testifying to that right now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you said that you were fighting getting an erection.
Yes, sir.
Okay. You remember previously saying under oath that you didn't undergo any physiological changes.
Yes, I do. And I didn't say anything because I was too embarrassed.
Okay. So you were embarrassed. So what you testified previously to under oath, that was not true. Is that fair?
Your Honor, I'm
I don't
gonna
know,
check,
might
make
be.
sure that's improper impeachment, I don't see any inconsistency.
All right, that'll be sustained. If you want to lay the foundation.
Okay. Do you remember testifying previously under oath?
Yes.
Okay. On, I believe, July 12th of 2023. You remember that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you remember your statement to prosecutors that you were fighting getting an erection and then that there was ejaculation. You
Yes,
just
sir.
said that, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, you were previously asked under oath if you went under physiological changes and you said no. You remember that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So obviously both of those can't be true. Which
Yes, sir.
one is the truth?
I didn't know what he met by physiological statements or changes, so I just said no.
Okay, but you didn't say, I don't know what you mean, you said no, you remember that? Okay,
Yes,
so that wasn't true, do you agree with me?
yes, sir.
And then he doesn't say anything, Raymond gets up and leaves, is that right?
Yeah.
Alright, so the next day, which is gonna be, or later that day, Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon, you're playing video games in your room, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And Raymond, he just comes into your room?
Yes,
Okay. When you were playing video games, was your door open or closed to begin with?
open.
Okay. So Raymond comes in and you tell him that you don't want him to play video games.
Yes, sir.
Now, you stated that he got a pillow and laid on your lap, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now you talked about you met with someone at the Child Advocacy Center,
Yes,
correct?
sir.
Gotcha.
You're referring to child safe?
Yes.
Okay.
Thanks. Thank you. That was more specific than me. So at Child Safe, you remember talking to someone there, right?
Yes,
Okay. And you actually told them that he came in and sat in a chair by your desk. You remember telling them that?
yes, I do.
Okay. But now you're saying he came in, got a blanket and laid on your lap, right?
Yes,
So, and then you actually told your mom that he came and sat next to you.
yes,
So then he puts a blanket on over himself and rubs you over your area where your penis is. Is that fair?
can we go a little bit slower, please?
Yeah, no problem. And I'm sorry if I'm going too fast. If you don't understand, please slow me down. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, fair enough. So, okay. So he rubs you over your pants.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, you remember telling the officer that you thought that was about for 15 minutes.
I don't remember.
Okay, fair enough. You remember yesterday saying it was about 1 to 5 minutes.
I don't remember. I'm sorry.
That's okay. So is it fair to say you don't really remember the length of that interaction?
No, sir.
All right. Now, yesterday you said that Raymond got up and left. You remember that?
No, I don't remember. I'm sorry.
Okay.
That's not what he said.
You can answer.
All right. So if y'all will address your objections to the court, what is your objection? Sustain.
Okay. So your testimony is that you got up and left. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
All right. And then the rest of your Sunday went, and then you went to school the next day, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. So going to Monday,
Yes, sir.
you get home and you initiate the interaction with your mother, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. And then you tell your mother generally what happened. Is that fair?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And so would that be something like, I think you previously said I got touched Raymond inappropriately touched me.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And that was referring to that late Saturday, early, and then Sunday, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You said you didn't give your mom details at that time, right?
No, sir. I don't believe so.
Okay. So you didn't say things like ejaculated or masturbated.
No, sir.
All right. Now you tell your mother and then she calls your stepdad into your room.
Yes.
Okay. Is it you or your stepdad that tells, or sorry, excuse me, is it you or your mom that tells your stepdad kind of the situation?
My mom.
Okay. So your mom didn't make you tell your stepdad. Is that fair?
I don't remember. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Maybe.
Okay.
Your Honor.
Yes. I'm sorry.
We type it.
Oh, that's okay.
Okay. Okay. Just wanted to-
And so during, to go back, I apologize, to go back to that Saturday, you said you remember that your little brother was there, right?
Yes,
Okay, your little sister is there
yes,
and your mom is there, right?
yes.
And then your stepdad may or may not have been there.
In the house?
Yes.
No, he was there.
Okay, so they were all sleeping, right?
No, my mother was not sleeping.
Your brother wasn't?
No, sir. I don't think so.
Your little brother was awake?
I don't remember.
Okay. But they were all in the house, right? Whether they were, okay, and I apologize, so, and then, so they were there that Saturday night and then Sunday, right?
My stepdad wasn't there.
On Sunday?
Saturday going into Sunday. He works night shift.
Okay, so he worked that night and at some point on Sunday he came home.
Yes.
Alright, do you remember what time he came home?
No, I wasn't home.
Now, you said that you think maybe your little brother was awake?
I don't know.
Okay, you're not sure.
Sorry.
But the hallway has like you said has an automatic light that comes on, a motion sensor light.
Well, can I rephrase that? It's not motion sensor, it's dependent on the light.
It's dependent on the light.
Yes, sir. So say if the bathroom light's on, then the light will turn off. It can
Okay.
sense if it's light or not.
So if it's pitch black,
Yes.
the hallway light comes on.
Yes, sir.
If you open your door to your room and turn the light on, the hallway light may turn off.
If I turn the light on to my room?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay. Your brother's bedroom from there, it doesn't look like it's too far away from your room, is that right?
I mean, can you give me like a more specific length?
Well, can you tell me how many, do you know, if you know, how many feet your rooms are apart?
Maybe like 6 to 8.
6 to 8 feet, okay. Now, again, you testified that there was the bedroom incident where you were sleeping,
Yes, sir.
and that happened first, right?
Yes, sir.
And then after that was the incident in your room with the gaming, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, again, you remember testifying under about July 12th of 2023, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you were asked if after that time, the time when he came in while you were in bed and supposed to be asleep, if anything happened after that. You remember being asked that?
No, I don't. Sorry.
May I approach?
Yes,
Actually, Judge, can we approach?
yes.
That little black box over there, if you can speak into that so I can hear you. That little black box.